addressing their fears. This is such a valuable point, and it was triggered to me by something I read the other day. I came across someone who was saying that producers were turning down her work, no one was reading her work, etc. And I thought, well, I know why, because, you know, producers and directors are so much more confident doing their own thing, because they realize that no one's going to sue them, no one's going to hurt them, no one's going to create issues for them. So it became very much an understanding that one of the biggest issues that we have in life when we're pitching or presenting a concept or an idea for someone is that we have to allay their fears. We've got to address their fears. And one of the things you can do and say to them is write them a letter outlining exactly what you will not do. You will not hurt them. You will not sue them. You will not create issues. You understand that they are operating in the same industry as you are, and that they are producing the same types of projects, and you are not going to pursue any form of legal action or any pursuit of, you know, there's so many things potentially that producers, directors, creators worry about. I am terrified of collaborations with anybody. I'm terrified that anybody sends me something and all of a sudden they've got a leg to stand on, some kind of a, oh, but you borrowed that idea, that was my idea, that came out of my, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Sorry, that's going back 12 years. One of the things that I now do is I'm always placing my work into copyright immediately. So when I do something, I instantly publish and I register my copyright in the United States. I immediately do that. Now, I know copyright does not require any form of registration, because copyright is copyright. Like, if you do something, it is yours. You own it. You know, it's yours. But the onus, the burden of proof, it's up to you to go and prove that it is actually your work. It's extremely difficult because you have to prove it, and you've got to prove that everything belongs to you. And you know, you could come and turn around and say, well, you know, here's my computer disk. It's got a date on it, but everybody knows these dates can be changed on computers. They can be fabricated. It's difficult. The biggest issue, of course, is that it can lead to all kinds of, you know, you're right, you're in the right, you're not in the wrong, you're not doing anything wrong, but it's the time, the length of time that it takes for you to go to court, fight it, argue it, try to prove it. Those kinds of things, not good, not good. So what you want to do is you really want to be able to address the fears of producers and directors and creators and anyone that you approach. You basically have to lay yourself bare and thin and say, look, you know, take me for what I'm valued as. Go on, take it. You know, that's my work. I'll let you develop it. Offer me some pittance, some small amount of money. I'll accept it. I'm not going to ever sue you. I'm not going to pursue you in any way. I'm not going to hurt you. Take my work, develop it, make it into something, own it. You know, you have to be a Joe Shuster. You have to be a Jerry Spiegel. You've got to be able to give your work almost for free to get that work screened and visible and shown and seen. And then again, you know, you could argue that giving your work away for free devalues it. You know, I agree with that. I agree with that completely. So, to cut this one short, because it's potentially one of those, you know, cans of worms. Once you open it, it's varied and really large. So, what I'm going to do is basically say, in rounding off, that you need to allay the fears. You need to address the fears of the people that you're communicating with. You need to be able to say to them, look, I'm not going to hurt you. It's going to be fine. We're going to have a great time together. Let's create this. You know, I'm not a problem. And I understand you're doing something very similar, or you're doing projects in the same industry, and that themes are, you know, my ideas are not copyright. I understand ideas are not copyright. The fact that I put my work down on paper is protected by against plagiarism. However, even the smallest minor change of my work could mean that it's yours automatically. So you've got to almost accept that that sort of thing is potentially going to happen, because it does. When I was overseas working with a very large production company called the South African Broadcasting Corporation, on a regular basis, they would call me. And by the way, this is not defamation in any way whatsoever. This is a true story. I can actually tell you the names of the producers that were involved, the people that I was with, etc., who we were always being phoned and said, look, we've got a script, we love it, we just don't like the production house. Come in, repitch it to us. How can you do it? What can you do? And we'd like to give you the work. We'd love to give you the work to develop this. That came up a lot, and they weren't the only ones. Lots of others did that. Same thing. So I can only imagine that my work, my script writing, my creativity was being handed over to another production house, and they were doing the exact same thing. And by the way, I've experienced this my whole life. It's actually really fascinating, you know, how it happens. An author presents some work. The work is not the best. It's kind of shoddy. It's not exactly the right work. We fix it. We do all we need to do. It looks great. It feels good. It tells a great story. And then we have an author turning around and saying, you know, we're not happy with the editing. We're not happy with the editing because, you know, it's messed up our work, but our work's different. Okay, this is a different subject, but what they're actually saying is they're saying my work was, you know, it's good now, but my work was better before you played with it. So, you know, this kind of thing comes up. And I guess you have to accept it. It's how life is. Life is that, you know, here I am, I'm on my way to the airport, and there's roadworks. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday night. You know, you see, it's the unexpected. It's always there. So you have to do things early. You've got to be doing things for a time in the future when you're going to need to do a delivery, right? So you're not doing things for next week or next month, or you're doing them really quickly and early for the opportunity. When the opportunity comes up, that is when you are doing things for, right? So to cut a long story short, very, very quickly, make sure that you write a covering note, some kind of a letter that says, you know, by all intents and purposes, absolutely love working with you, would love to work with you, I want to do this, please give me the opportunity, and understand that I'm basically saying, you know, I've got nothing to stand on, you go ahead and take my work, you develop it, you turn it into something special, and I'm quite happy with whatever it is that you do, provided that my work gets put into a film. By the way, and this isn't just for hungry, wannabe, first-time writers, this is for people that are you know, high-end writers, people that have had 5, 10, 20 books published, people that are actually doing really well, people that have actually appeared on Velocity Sales, the New York Times bestseller, you know, people that have appeared somewhere, people that are kind of getting known. You know, these are the people, because if you're sitting there thinking, oh, you know, that doesn't apply to me because I'm a well-known writer, I'm a well-known person, you know, it actually applies to you. If you want the next break, and you are actually very well known, and you are quite willing to give your work for almost for nothing just to have it developed, you will get your work developed. They will turn it into something special, and you're into the next stage, into the next level. But you've got to give away something. You've got to give away something. Otherwise, what will happen is, sometime in the future, you die, no one cares about you anymore, some person buys up all of your estate, and then because they love your stories and they turn them into films, and basically your estate makes a small amount, they make a huge amount of money. And so the earlier you get into the cycle and the earlier you're making films, you've got your work being made into films, the quicker you are turning, you're adapting your stories into screenplay format and then into the marketplace. The sooner you can do that, the sooner you will find success, the sooner your work will go up in value. Because once you've made a film, you've had a movie made of your work, your content, your written content, Hollywood will chase you, they'll want you again and again. Of course, I do this on a much smaller scale. I'm always looking for great stories that I can develop, whether into motion picture format or TV series or some kind of a serialization. And I offer a very small amount because that's real estate. That's what it's all about. You know, you want to be offering the lowest possible amount to find something worthwhile, to acquire something worthwhile. And believe me, the kind of agreements that are put out there to buy out these intellectual properties are, you know, awful agreements. They basically say, look, we're going to take this thing and we're going to do whatever we want with it, and you have absolutely no way of making any form change or adjustment, anything, any format change to this thing again. In fact, you can't do much. Basically, you've handed it over, you've signed it off, you've been paid an amount, and that's it. Walk away. So, address the fears. You want to do something, you want to develop something, you want to go someplace, you want to make things happen. Address the fears. Very important.